A style sheet within InDesign, or Illustrator for that matter, they work the same, is basically it's a collection of properties that you can apply to any block of text or objects for that matter. So here we're going to look strictly at paragraph styles. The purpose of a paragraph style is to make the formatting of a larger document much more consistent and faster by creating a style sheet of these properties for different types of elements, such as headlines, subheadlines, body copy, or bullet points, pull quotes, anything you can imagine, you can format with style sheets. So like I said, we're going to focus on paragraph styles with this. We're going to ignore character styles for the moment. And I've got two blocks of copy here. One I'm going to format and create my style sheets for, and the other one I'm then going to show how simple it is to apply those style sheets to subsequent blocks of copy. So I'm going to begin with, I've got the line is my headline, a subheadline, and then body copy and some bullet points here. So I'm going to start with the body copy, and I'm going to do this what I consider to be the simple way. I'm going to select all of that text. I'm going to select a typeface for it. Rather than Minion, I think I want to look at Galliard. Okay, I've applied that. I want to drop the point size on my body copy to 11. I'm going to open up my leading a little bit. And with that very little bit of basic formatting, I'm then going to go, with that selected, I'm going to go to my paragraph styles panel, and I'm going to create a new style by clicking the plus sign at the bottom of the panel. I can also do that by selecting the menu in the upper right hand corner and saying new paragraph style. Opens a dialog box, and I'm going to call this my body text. And if we take a quick look, you can see that it has all of those stylings that I just applied to this set as properties of this style sheet. So I can say OK and accept that. And now select that body copy and apply that body text style. Creating a style sheet is as simple as that. Now formatting becomes a much simpler task, or fine-tuning the formatting, I should say, becomes a much simpler task. But before I go ahead and do any fine-tuning with this, I'm going to go ahead and set a style sheet for my headline. So selecting my headline, I'm going to go back over here, and we're going to keep it all Galliard. Maybe I'll make it Mahalia. I'll select that, and I'm going to set the point size on my headline to 24. And now with that selected, I'm going to go back in my paragraph styles panel. We're going to create a new style, and then I'm going to open that up, call this my headline. If you notice down here below, we could base this headline on another style sheet. If you click on that, you'll see the style sheet we already have set up. But this is a primary element, so this is going to be sort of the first of the line here. So I'm going to ignore these for now, but I'll look at them whenever I set up my subheadline. So general, there's my basic character formats all set up. And maybe I want to put a little bit of space after that headline. So I'm going to go down to indents and spacing and place a space after it of 0.125. We'll say OK. So now we have two style sheets, our body text and our headline. So what I just did here is important. I didn't mean to switch that the way I did. Because a paragraph style is a block level styling format, meaning that it formats all of the text between returns. All you have to do is have your cursor set placed within a line of text or a block of text and click on the style sheet to change it. So the reason that's something to look out for is that I just finished formatting this. I applied headline to it. Now if I decide I want to go modify my body text and I come down here to double click that, it changed my headline because I still had it selected. So it's not a big deal. All we got to do is go back and change it, and we're back to where we started from. So I'm going to click out here to the side to deselect everything. And I'm also going to create a subheadline for this text right here. I'm not even going to select it this time though. What I'm going to do is go into my style sheets. I'm going to create a new style, and I'm going to call this subheadline. And I'm going to base it on my headline because I want my subheadlines to be the same typeface as my headline in all cases. So basically this gives us a starting point for our subheadline. If I were to leave this alone, say OK, and apply it to my subheadline, it would look exactly the same as my headline, which probably isn't what we want. So what I'm going to do is go to my basic character formats, and I'm going to drop my subheadline point size to 18 points. We'll just start there. And maybe I'll go down here to character color and make it blue. I don't know. Something obvious so we can tell the difference. We'll say OK. And now if I go up here and click in the middle of my subheadline, I can either click in it or I can highlight the entire block. I can now apply my subheadline style. So you see how simple it is to format text once you've got your style sheets all set up. So because we based the subheadline on our headline, any changes we make to our headline will be reflected automatically in our subheadline, except for any of the properties that we created an override for, which in this case was simply the point size of this line of text. So if I go back to my headline and I say, this is a little, I'm not really one for scripty typefaces. Maybe I'll go back to my basic character formats and I'll select instead, maybe I'll select Montserrat. I like Montserrat. It's a nice, bold, heavy typeface. And you see that when I do that, my headline and my subheadline change. So we will say OK and accept all of that. And I'm actually going to pull this down out of the way because we're going to. So next, I want to make some changes to my body copy. So I have a couple things I'm going to do here. One is I want a little bit of extra space between paragraphs. And then I've got some bullet points down here, which I want to format. And I want those to look the same as my body copy. So just like we did with our headline and our subheadline, we're going to create a style sheet for our bullet points that's based upon our body copy. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go in my body text with my preview checkbox checked. And I'm going to go to indents and spacing, and I'm going to add an 1/8 of an inch padding between paragraphs. See how that opened it up? So I can I can make adjustments and see what the effect is. Maybe we'll just do that. We'll make it a little less. And maybe we'll come back up here. Maybe the 15 points of leading I have is a little too much. Maybe we'll drop that to 14. 13? We'll drop to 13. So we've sort of fine-tuned that a little bit. I could also go back into my indents and spacing here. Say I want my first line to be indented a little bit. I could change that first line indent if I wanted. I'm going to leave it alone for now. so I can go ahead and format my bullet points. So I'm going to say OK, and that selects all of that. I'm going to open this up. Now I'm going to create, see, I've got 1, 2, 3 blocks here that are bullet points. So I'm going to create a bullet point style for those. So I'm going to go back over to my paragraph style panel, go to new paragraph style. I'm going to base it on my body text, which is already selected. And we'll call this body text bullets. Always give your style sheets names. Once you get an appreciable number of style sheets in your list, you'll be glad that you did when you're able to find them easier. So body text bullets, and it's based on my body text. So I'm going to go down here in the options side panel to bullets and numbering. And I'm going to set the list type to be bullets to make it numbers. So the text after the bullet will be controlled by a tab, and we can apply some character styles here, which we're not going to look at this in this video, but we're just going to get a basic bullet point set up here. So we're going to set that. I'm just going to say OK. And now I'm going to go back over, select those paragraphs, and apply my body text bullets to it. You see that it applied those bullet points. Now, it's not formatted the way we want it. It's kind of gappy and it doesn't look very good, but we've got the style sheet built. So now what we can do is go back into our bullets. I'm going to go back down to my bullets and numbering. And I'm going to leave it aligned left, but I'm going to change the left indent. And you see I like my bullet points to be indented. It's a fairly common convention for them to be, but the amount is up to you. So I indented them about a quarter of an inch. Then I'm going to change the tab position and change my first line indent. So in order to get all of our bullets to align, or all our text to align outside the bullet, we kind of need to play around with our left first line and tab position indents a little bit. So once you get it the way you want it, then you can kind of continue to work with it a little bit. The first line is actually what's setting this bullet point. If you consider that the flush line of the text here is 0, or in this case 0.375, we've moved our bullet point 0.1875 to the left of that line, that imaginary line. So we've got that. We're just going to, there we go. And I'm going to put a hair more space between my bullet points. So indents and spacing. This time though, instead of putting the space after, I'm going to add some space before because I want to gap it off of the paragraph as well. So I'm just going to place just a little bit, 0.0625 there, and say OK. And now we have a nice basic paragraph style sheet set applied. And now these are easy for us to reuse, and this is going to run long, but if I place my cursor in the headline of this block of text, I can apply my headline. I can apply my subheadline and all of my body text. So imagine being able to format the general content of a 48-page book using this process. The other reason so aside from convenience, consistency, ease of use, shortening editing time, aside from those reasons, additional reasons to use paragraph styles are if you've got a longer book that's going to use a table of contents, InDesign's table of contents feature, you define entries that appear in your table of contents with style sheets. So if you want to create a table of contents with that tells you where all of your major headlines are, you would create a style sheet for those major headlines, or in this case we just use headline, and you would define that as the any text with that style sheet applied as the entry for your table of contents. So a lot of InDesign's functionality relies on style sheets to get the most out of it anyway. So those are the basics of setting up style sheets. There are a lot more. You can import style sheets from other documents by loading paragraph styles. Going to load paragraph styles, you find the document that you want to import the styles from. It'll give you a dialog where you can select the specific ones or select them all, and it'll load them right in here and you can use them. Good for if you have a client that always uses the same headline style, the same body copy style, bullet points, pull quotes, block quotes, you name it, for all of their publications. You want to be able to share these style sheets and not have to set them up each and every time. It all contributes to consistency and speed of development, because at the end of the day, time is money, and the faster we can complete our task, the more money we make. So those are paragraph styles. In another video, we'll look at character styles, but I wanted to cover paragraph styles just by itself. Remember that paragraph styles work on a block level. Basically, it's anything between return spaces. So within this text, if I show all my hidden characters, you'll see paragraph returns at the ends of all these lines. That's how InDesign knows where to apply that text. It's what you selected, or is anything within that block of text that your cursor is placed in. You can show those hidden characters by going to type, show or hide hidden characters.